Okay. Good evening. The regular meeting for the Joint Land Use Board Thursday, August 26, 2021 is called to order. I wish to announce that the Open Public Meeting Act, known as the Sunshine Law of 1975, has been complied with. The notice of this meeting was advertised at a regular reorganization meeting, at which time our official newspapers were notified. Copies are placed on the bulletin boards. Okay. Everyone please rise and join us in the flag salute. Okay, Nancy, roll call, please. Roll call.
Mayor Roach.
Here.
Councilwoman Hess. Here. Mr. Wells.
Here.
Mr. Vandergrift. Ms. Jackson.
Here.
Mr. Dawson.
Here.
Mr. Pauly. Ms. DeDomenico here. Ms. Brodish. Here. Mr. Lankowski.
Here. Okay, next on the agenda, you just abstain. All right. Next is the approval of the minutes from July 22nd, 2021. Can I have a motion? Can I have a second? Second. Roll call, please.
Is everybody? Mayor Roach.
Yes.
Councilwoman Hess.
Abstain.
Mr. Wells.
Yes.
Ms. Jackson.
Yes.
Mr. Dawson.
Yes.
Mr. Pauly. Mr. Lankowski.
Yes. Okay. Next on our agenda is new business. We're going to go to application JLUB 21-7 first. That's United Paving in Bangor Ave, Block 257, Lot 1. This is for a use variance. It's my understanding, Kate will explain because Mr. Vandergrift is not here.
Yes. The applicant has requested a postponement for this evening's hearing because we do not have the full board. As we explained at the last meeting, to get a use variance, you need a supermajority. So he wanted all 7 of the board members who could vote to be here, and we don't have that. So he does have the discretion to postpone the application until there's a full board present. And he has done that, so he will be on the agenda for September 23rd, I believe. He will not need to renotice. You just need to mark your calendars. We apologize for that, but this was a last-minute thing, and he does have the option to postpone if we do not have a full board. We anticipated we might have that problem because August is a rough month with vacations, kids going to college, etc. Somebody's got something.
Yes.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I have a question.
Sure.
Trying to date 17 out of that.
Yeah.
Also part of Lindenwold.
Right.
Okay. How many times does he get to postpone?
Okay, so this, I think, will actually be the second time he has done that. He deferred in the very beginning, and I think it was back in last October, November. He deferred when we were doing everything virtually, and he did not want to present the matter in a remote fashion. Lots of attorneys opt that way for a use variance because it's difficult. They want to be in person, and so he opted out for several months until the board resumed in-person meetings. So this is his second postponement, postponed last month and then today. So
Is there a full board now, or I don't know what the count is?
we're missing Joe, right?
Joe Vandergrift, yes.
Yeah.
Who appoints the board members. Is that a mayor's appointment? Well, I know for planning board, I'm not familiar with the joint planning.
Same thing.
Okay. Has any notification been sent to any of these members that have not shown up? Obviously, there's a reason, I guess, that not everybody's showing up. Okay. And my other question would be, if in fact this continues to happen, okay, is he automatically granted the applicant approvals? I know on some boards that does take place. You know, if the borough doesn't do due diligence, okay, is that the same in this case?
No.
No,
Okay, I don't like
he's made the request. We haven't put him off. He's made the request to postpone it.
I just want to tell you, we are prepared,
I know.
okay, if in fact that occurs, that we will, you know, take legal action against the municipality, okay? Well, you're not an attorney yet, okay, that's why I'm asking the solicitor, okay? If in fact that occurs, and his grant is approved because of the negligence of the borough, okay, that's our intent, okay? And maybe the board might want to do a little bit of due diligence looking at this property prior to the applicant coming in. A real easy way to save a lot of money and a lot of our aggravation is possibly, and maybe the mayor can look into this, is this property be purchased at fair market value, which is probably maybe $200-300, okay, under open space, okay? That is what open space is designed for buying junk property, okay, and preserving it as open space, okay, and I think everybody in our neighborhood would be quite happy if it's left as is. So you have maybe to file an application with the county, or whoever does that,
Mr. Mayor, just to bring it to your attention, so, because you are the one who taught me this.
Okay.
Whenever there's a vacant piece of property that's still paying taxes to the borough, and it's a good piece of taxes that are on that property, the borough doesn't usually want to take on the ability of having to maintain, but you still don't want to take on the maintaining of the property and having care for anything that happens on it, or trees come down, or anything that goes wrong with it. You know as well as I do. You taught me this.
Okay, but also, I thought you respect the neighbors, okay?
Absolutely correct.
And obviously, anything on that property, other than single-family residential, which is what the zone is, okay, is not going to fly, okay, unless the guy's got skywalks or something.
And you also know that I can't comment on it because I can't hear this, because if it comes, if it passes this board, or if it doesn't pass this board, it can come to mayor and council, and I can't, and then Linda and I have to hear it
All I'm
there.
asking is someone, whether it be our solicitor, or our planner, or engineer, to take a look at potential open space. I believe that is within the realm of the planning board. Okay, when they do the annual, what do you call it? That's it. I'm starting to lose my mind. Okay, but that would be a resolution to it. Okay, if you recall the property on Shoes Landing Road, okay, when everybody said, why did they, spend so much money trying to get planning approvals? Okay, it's because they had intentions to sell it to the county 2 months later as open space and quadruple the value of what? Yeah.
It's over the college. College offers free.
Okay. Anyway, I'm sorry, I apologize.
It's fine. But just to be perfectly clear, this board's not going to make any decision unless you people are here. I don't think they would do anything like that, because we know how big of an issue it is to be. Unfortunately, today we found out that they weren't coming in. So we didn't have time to notice anybody, or put it out there on the sign, or even put it on the website.
How did he know that you're not going to have a forum? The attorney contacted every member of the board?
No.
Okay, then why wasn't it on our website or... Okay, well, let me finish. Okay, so then members that aren't here contacted you and said they weren't going to be here. And who were those members? Mr. Bailey? Yes. One person? Right, I'm aware of that.
Heather has a conflict.
Is there alternatives for this board?
We had another board member relieve herself of her duties recently.
Has she been replaced?
Not yet. They're in the process of trying to find somebody. This is very
All right,
recent.
thank you, have a great day. All right, thanks.
Thank you.
I wanted to put on the agenda, do you have to inconvenience 40 people just to put it on the record? As long as it's on the agenda, we're assuming that it's going to go through. So all I'm saying is that why can't you put it on the agenda, revise the agenda for the day, and say, hey, it's canceled? To say 40 people.
And we all could have been home watching the president on television.
I mean, I don't think that's too much to ask.
What's that? I didn't hear what he... Okay, so... Well, there isn't any particular rule on that, okay? One would assume that most applicants want to have a hearing and get a decision as soon as possible. So I'm going to say that they're motivated in that regard, too. However, the applicants do not want to proceed unless they have a full board, only because a use variance requires a supermajority, and so that is why they have postponed. They do have the right to do that, to ask for a full board to hear their application, so that's where it is. So again, if we do have this situation that arises next month, I think we probably get a head count well in advance, so we know, and get it out and revise the agenda and post that, and then you're urged to check the website. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
At our last meeting, at our last meeting, you said that there needed 7 people to vote. There was only 5 last time. You said there was 7 that needed to vote. We have 8 right now. You have 7 up there now. If the mayor approves himself, there are 7 people up there voting.
They're accusing themselves.
Because, sir, here's the thing, when you have...
We're doing this every time then. What's the ordinance do? Does the ordinance do anything?
Conflict.
Jesus, somebody on the board to get voted at.
Yes, yeah.
This is ridiculous. So many people got to recuse themselves. Why?
Excuse me, sir. Could we need to have a civil meeting. There's a lot of things that have to do with land use board that we have no control over. We're just, I understand that, and I apologize for that. I really do. Everybody up here on this board is a volunteer. You know, we try to do our best. Can I please speak? We try to do our best for the township. Usually most applicants will go through with the application. Okay, this guy knows what he's up against, and he wants a full vote. okay?
He wants the best odds for his
For his-
application. He
it's
doesn't
just
have
a matter of
full board.
That's not right now.
You need a full board, okay? And the mayor and a councilwoman have to recluse, because if we should deny this application, the applicant can appeal it. They can appeal either one of two ways. They can appeal to town council, of which the mayor and councilwoman has to sit on, or they can appeal to the court. So statutorily, the council members, the mayor and councilwoman have to recluse themselves from use variances. So that's what we have here. So we have another member who could not make it tonight. We lost a member recently that we haven't replaced, and our alternate is conflicted out. So that's the circumstance that we have. We apologize for that, but there were factors beyond our control.
Out of everybody here, and I want to see a hands on who can vote. Well, I want to know who can vote. Put your hands up.
We can vote. Go ahead. Put your hand up.
Okay, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5.
A full board is 7 days.
Okay, you only have 6. So how did we even get 7 people when there's only 6 to vote?
Because Mr. Vandergriff is not here.
Okay. Okay, but that's a full board.
That's a full board for these variances. And out of that full board, they have 5 They kind of was part of the
What is the part of it?
It's part of the 200, which is on the total list. So I have to say, I think we're part of that list.
Will you be for or against? I didn't hear that. What about that?
What about the lack of maintenance?
Okay, you know what, excuse me, I really think that we cannot be talking about this application when the applicant is not here. Okay, we can talk about the process of how you need to have a supermajority, but the particulars of this application, the properties, the topography of the property, we really need to make your comments in front of the applicant and their attorneys so they can respond to any comments that you have. So in fairness to the applicant, we should not talk about any aspect of their application unless they're here.
Okay. All right then. You know, and also thank you for input. I mean, Green Acres, it would probably be a good thing, but this guy owns it. I mean, we can't make him do whatever we want with his property. He has rights, and that's why he comes here. Yeah, I mean,
What's being done about lack of maintenance? I look out my front window every day, and 8 foot weeds that I was taking care of for years until this guy bought it. Now, it's just overgrown. Now I can't even go cut down weeds because he just posted all those trespasses on for the first
Okay,
time.
again, we're actually making comments about the property, about the applicant, and we really should not be doing that.
Right.
Okay, so no more comments about the application.
thank you, everyone. And once again, we apologize. Okay. All right. You ready? Okay, next on the agenda is application JLUB 21-6, that's Prodigy Games. That's 110 North White Horse Pike, Block 122, Lot 9. This is a change in use, empty building to store. Yep. All right, go ahead. All right. All right, we'll have a 10-minute adjournment. I don't want to catastrophize everything. So this is nothing here, there's nothing we're going to say or do to change the way it looks like. Okay, gentlemen, would you like to swear them in?
Okay, if you could have, you're Mr. Bailey,
Yes.
correct? Okay. The people who are going to be testifying, if they could stand and raise their right hand. Okay, and you're going to have to give me your name, sir.
David Barnes?
Oh, David Barnes, okay. And your address, please?
2421, Patton Street, Camden, New Jersey.
What was the street?
2441 Patton Street, Camden, New Jersey.
Okay, that's the only testimony we're having?
Yes, that's my law partner, right across.
Alrighty, and
Jeff Hanson, board engineer, 15 Steve Drive, Suite 103, Mount Laurel, River Blackboard.
okay. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you'll give this evening will be the whole truth? Okay.
Yes, good evening, members of the panel. As stated, my name is Gary Bailey. I'm here on behalf of Prodigy Games by the way of David Barnes and his wife Marcella Barnes. This application is for land use variance at 110 North White Horse Pike, Block 122, Lot 9. Mr. Barnes and his wife purchased the property about a year ago. We rented and purchased it. Prior to his purchase, the property was completely empty. Prior to it being vacant, it was used as an insurance agency, small company. Mr. Barnes and the company, Prodigy Games, intends to use it for retail use. So to not only sell certain retail gaming products, but to also have tournaments where kids and teenagers come in and play games, compete against one another. Typically, from a Monday to Friday usage, it's purely transactional, in and out, 2-3 customers at a time. On tournament time, which would generally be on a Sunday, it could get up to 30-40 participants. Now, with that being said, there's 9 parking spots that are available to Mr. Barnes' company, and then there's adequate street parking on the outside that could accommodate the other 10 or 12 cars that may come on tournament day. He doesn't have any plans to do any changes to the exterior of the building other than maybe adding 1 or 2 more lights just to give it some adequate lighting. But on the inside, certainly intends to make some changes to exit signs, fire alarms, the fire extinguishing system, adding just some more chairs and other little accoutrements just to accommodate, again, on tournament day. But that's really it. He's not looking to do anything major that would really exceed any reasonable usage of that commercial corridor and even the prior usage, again, other than that one day. So for that purposes, I'll stop right here and allow you all to question Mr. Barnes or raise any concerns.
Okay, let me just ask you this, because your attorney did put some facts on the record. Mr. Barnes, is what your attorney represented in terms of your use of the property correct?
Yes. Can I ask you a question about that, Kate? What are the hours, so it's only retail Monday to Friday, nothing else? Selling games, so you're like an EB Games or a GameStop or something like that? Is that where you're...
More so trading card games. We specialize in Yu-Gi-Oh, Magic the Gathering, Pokemon, things of that nature.
So card games and board games?
Yeah, card games,
it's not video games?
We have video games for sale.
Okay. So you're selling games, basically?
Yeah, I'm selling
video games, board games, card games.
Yeah, right, yeah.
What are your hours Monday to Friday?
Our hours would be from 12 noon to 8 o'clock at night.
That's Monday to Friday. Anything on Saturday?
Saturday would be 10 in the morning to about 10 at night.
Okay. Then you would only be open for tournaments on Sunday, or I guess the retail would still be open?
Well, realistically, once we get started, we would place tournaments on weekdays as well. However, we would have a smaller audience, just because our following for Yu-Gi-Oh is probably our largest following. So on the weekday, we would have like Pokemon. Generally, that would attract about 12 to 15 kids. Magic the Gathering on Friday nights. Generally, that would attract anywhere from 12 to 15 players as well.
Okay, so you mentioned I'm sorry, I don't know these games. What's your big following?
Yu-Gi-Oh is our biggest following. It's a trading card.
Game? Do adults play that game, or are they?
Some adults play. It's a children's card game. However, it's basically children and adults do play it. And it's a trading card game, so I don't know if you ever heard of Pokemon, but it's relatively similar to Pokemon.
Okay, so these kids come in, and are they supervised? Parents? How's that work?
When the children would just generally just come in. If we're having a tournament or something like that, pretty much they will sign up for tournament. From my understanding, most of the times kids get generally dropped off. Parents do have the option to stay. We're not, we're totally open to that. Yeah.
Okay, so they go into this facility, they can buy things from you at retail,
yes.
But they can also then sit down and play a game.
Yes.
Do they have to pay to participate in the games?
And only in tournament. Tournaments are $5. And pretty much after the tournament, prizes are given for the place of the members who participated. So anywhere from first to top 16 would receive packs, essentially.
You get prizes, they're not getting cash.
They're not getting cash. They're getting prizes,
or store credit or something.
Store credit, right? Store credit, packs. Our tournaments generally last anywhere from 3 to 4 hours.
How many employees do you employ?
2. Yes, myself, my wife, and then we have 2 employees as well.
Okay.
As far as food and things of that nature goes, pretty much it's just we sell chips, cakes, cookies, candy, standard things of that nature.
You're not cooking anything there, there's no kitchen or anything where you're...
No, there's no kitchen, nothing like that, no. So we might sell Hot Pockets or something to that nature that can be available for purchase as well.
So, but you have a microwave?
Yes, we do have a microwave.
Okay, so you are going to be... So you're selling. So what's the primary use of this property? Is it mostly the game part of it?
The primary use is just creating a safe haven where people can feel as though they belong and come in and play games. whether it's board games, open play, playing Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon. On like certain days, we would host open game night where people just kind of come in, hang out, and just play, test play. There's a bigger world to this where there's like bigger events. So you can go to regionals, YCSs, and generally that's what you're prepping for. People that play the game a little more mainstream is practicing to go to like bigger tournaments and things of that nature.
So do you, and I'm going to ask your attorney, Mr. Bailey, do you see this use as a permitted use in this zone? This lounge for kind of an entertainment center?
Well, I do, considering the density. If it was 50, 60 or more, or it's busting out the seams, I think it would be problematic, mainly because of the overflow out to White Source Pike. But considering it's a smaller place, the nature of it is more younger kids and teenagers.
The nature is more what?
Younger kids and teenagers. Listen, he's my client, I want him to do well. But to the extent that he's bursting out the seams, he's going to have to find another place. This only works if it keeps within a certain margin of the typical in and out, and then some few tournaments where you're talking about 12 to 15 people, occasionally, 20 or something like that. Anything more than that, I think from the people we saw, there's going to be a problem. He's going to have to find somewhere else. So it's a narrow place. I think it'll meet the usage variance, it'll meet the code. He'll get the insurance, and if he doesn't already have it in place and everything else, so that, because I can understand the concerns. No one wants to become a loitering place, right? You don't want people just hanging out, just not being engaged and involved in what's going on. You want people to come in, like you said, a safe haven, be active in a specific focus, which is playing the game. When it's over, leave. It's not a hangout spot where you just kind of hang around at 10, 11 o'clock, figure it out. It's for a specific purpose, and as long as it meets that purpose, then without a question.
What I was getting at is that we have these permitted uses for that zone, and I was trying to see where we would fit this in a permitted use. So, I don't know if you,
I have a copy of it.
really, if you look at 365-58, it lists the permitted uses, and I really did endeavor very hard to see if I could get you into one of these categories, and I can't. I'm going to put it out to you or to the board's engineer. Do you see it fitting?
I see the retail aspect
retail
of it
part of it.
definitely fits, and if that was the predominant use, then you could make an argument that the tournament, since they sell these products, would be an accessory to that, and something would be customary to that use.
But if I heard you correctly, the predominant thing is to kind of get these tournaments and have a place for kids to...
Well, the only reason why the tournaments exist is because we sell these products. I assure you, if we didn't sell toys and games and the Yu-Gi-Oh cards and the Pokemon cards and Magic the Gathering, people wouldn't even come. So tournaments go align with selling these products.
So is that subordinate or lesser intensity use than the retail use? Because 365-58D actually allows clubs and lodges. It says public and institutional uses, which clubs and lodges organized for fraternal or social purposes. I don't know if it's under that.
Well, I would
Is the
argue...
retail use dominant to the tournament? I mean, what's going to happen predominantly there?
If I may, from the legal standpoint, I would argue that if we take an additional step to create the social organization for the gaming purposes, that would qualify. But secondly, if we can agree to restrict the tournaments to a limited time so that it doesn't supersede the retail activity. So rather than being available every day, which kind of treads along which one is it, can we restrict it? And then you look at, okay, it's open for this amount of hours, and you balance that versus, well, how much is dedicated to tournament time? Now you don't have that problem.
I think from what I've heard, of what's going on at the site, is that the main problem isn't necessarily the use. I don't want to speak out of turn. It's the parking. That there's cars parking in the neighborhood, and the fire engines can't get down. There's
That the main issue is the parking, from what I heard, am I correct? From what I've heard from the borough.
Yeah. You're already in operation, aren't you?
Yes.
Okay. And you're not supposed to be, right?
No.
Okay. We've got complaints from the neighbors up and down the street that there's parking on both sides of the street. They can't get down the street. There's no way a fire engine's getting down the street. If you've got 9 parking spots and you only need 12, first off, the street's not your parking. It's, in Lindenwold, the streets are tight, so you shouldn't be parking on the street in the first place. All of your parking should be in your lot. And that's what I've tried to get across to the people who have been complaining to me about what's going on over there and how late it's out there on the weekends.
So let me ask you this, because we didn't get a floor plan or anything like that. So what is the square footage of your retail area, your store?
About 1,200 square feet.
That's just for the retail area, or is that everything?
That's just for the actual retail area.
The retail area?
And then there's an office, is there office?
Yeah, there's 2 back offices. One is for storage.
So by code, for general business, commercial, personal service establishments not generally covered, which this would fall under, you'd need 1 space for 250 square feet, so it would be 5 spaces just for the retail. And then what's the size of the rest?
The rest is about 800 combined.
So for private clubs or lodges, which would be the closest thing for this, you need 1 space for every 3 members, plus 1 additional space for each 2 employees of the club or lodge. So it'd be 2 spaces for you and your wife and the 2 employees, because that's 4, so that's 2. And if you have 30 or 40 people there, you're supposed to have 10 or 11 spots for that, so you should really have 5 plus 10 plus for, what did I say for the tournaments? 10, or 30, you said up to 40 people for tournaments?
It can get up to.
Okay. Yeah, well, let's assume the worst case scenario, you're really successful, best case scenario for you, you have a really successful business, and you have 40 people there, you would need 13 spaces for that. So you're looking at 20, by ordinance, you need 20 parking spaces, off-street parking spaces, whereas you've got 9, and I think that's where we're having a lot of the issues. I don't want to speak for the board members, but I don't think anybody has a problem with the use per se. It's mostly the problems with the parking and those things, quote-unquote nuisance issues, when the fire engine can't get down the street, and residents are having a hard time getting down the street, and it's carrying on late at night. I think that's what the issue is. So we've got to find a way to ameliorate that parking issue. Is there anybody that's close that you could work out a parking?
That's not one issue about the parking. A lot of your parking spaces are being utilized by the business next door?
Yeah, and the parking spaces on your lot, the auto body guy next door is using a lot of them, isn't he?
He does use a lot of them. We've already come to an agreement on tournament days. He basically parks his cars in the back. That way I can utilize the parking that's accessible.
Okay, so the parking it's the auto repair person that's parking on your lot.
Well,
Are you utilizing his lot?
Right, to my understanding, that's not his parking, according to him. Like, he just uses it.
But it's your space?
It would be my space, yes.
And that's what, when Sam was in here with that application, that was the same arrangement.
Yeah, and we kind of had
We
asked
never
to
got a
get
survey.
we had asked to get like some sort of easement agreement with the owner.
Cross-access easement with the owner to allow you to park on his property and what's that?
Still need to get-
We only have 9 spots. Right? I think we had 9 spots.
We have 9 spots.
There's 9 plus 1 handicap.
We need 20.
You've got to come up with a solution.
You gotta come up with a solution to keep people from parking on the street, basically, somehow.
And there should be no street parking at all, essentially is what you're telling me?
Well, the ordinance requires 20 off-street parking spaces, which means you've got
Based
to...
on how you're using that spot.
The Borough Code lays out, based on the use and the size of your use, that determines how many spaces. I just went through the parking schedule to determine that. That's why I was asking how many people are in the tournaments, et cetera. Because it's all laid out right in the borough's parking schedule. So if you can't meet that, then you would need to seek what's known as a variance from the requirements of the code, which requires advertising. I don't think we've advertised for any variances or anything, have we? So if he was to seek a variance, then we wouldn't be able to hear that.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I have a question. How many spots would you need if it was strictly retail, no tournaments?
If it was strictly retail, you said it's about 2,000 square feet?
Yeah.
If it was strictly retail, no tournaments? Is that what you're asking, Howard? There would be 8 for 2,000, it's 1 for 250 square feet, so say 9, which he has. If it's a little over 2,000 square feet, then it would be 9. So if it was solely retail, then you'd be fine.
Yeah.
The issue, I don't think the issue is with the retail. I mean, it's obviously retail is permitted use. It's gas and parking for retail. The issues are coming up when the tournaments are being run.
So the tournaments, they typically occur on the weekend, or they just occur in the evenings? Could you give me an idea?
Typically, they would occur generally heavier on the weekends, but there would be tournaments during the weekday as well.
Okay.
But you said there are only 12 to 15 people during the week.
They're extremely light.
So weekends is the issue. But I mean, you could get in a situation where it gets really popular and you could have more, you want to prepare for the worst case scenario, because if you get an approval, you don't want to be back here asking for another variance. You want to cover your bases, so to speak, if that makes sense.
Right.
Is there any way you can work out an arrangement with a neighbor to, because it sounds like these things happen during the evenings as well, to get more people parked out in the street?
Thinking about your neighbor who has the auto repair, if you can work out an easement with them where I would think that in the evening there would be a lot of empty, people have picked up their car that he repaired.
I think if he wants to have the tournament, he's going to have to come back and advertise for a parking variance either way. Because you don't have enough parking, which means you've got to apply for a variance.
This is the parking lot is huge. Google Earth showing you don't have any parking.
Well, he has a way to do it.
Come back.
Yeah,
He's agreed to this time.
we determined in Sanitary we had 9 spots at the beginning. Because there's spots on the side there.
So to this point, you still do not have any mapping of the property, right?
No, sir.
When you bought it, did you get a survey that you could provide us?
A survey?
Yeah, did you get a
No.
survey? No, you didn't get one.
What I would recommend, I don't know if I'm speaking out of turn again, is that we consider the retail change of use tonight, and then we've got to figure out a way that he's got to come back and get a variance for parking if he wants to run the tournaments, and come up with a way to get this. No, I understand that.
You just told the neighbors to be here for this.
Yeah.
And we were on their side.
I know.
Well, if I may, Mayor Roach, I think that's probably my job to make sure he's in compliance with any gratuities you all give today.
Well, he's not in compliance now because he's running the business now, and he's not supposed to.
And I've talked to him, that was before he retained me. That, I mean, we can't pass the buck, we can blame people, but he's here, I'm here, we're certainly
I totally
committed.
understand, but he hasn't stopped running his business.
Right,
The other night, we cashed in the lights on.
and that's what I'm saying, Mayor Roach, he just retained me. I think I have some conversations to have with him, to be in compliance with any gratuities you all, give.
We've become very leery of people who don't tell the truth. Or don't follow the rules right up to that. Sure.
So, I mean, this is, Lindenwold's changed quite a bit, so.
Sorry, there's a couple questions I would have if we moved forward on this. Security cameras,
Yes. I have cameras.
you already have it?
Yes.
Have you went in front of the police department to make sure they approved it?
No.
Are these the same cameras that Sam had in there?
We have a monitor. No, I don't. I had AT&T. I mean, ADT.
So they're the same cameras that were in there when you moved in? Because I know...
No, they're not the same
Okay.
cameras.
Because the prior owner, applicant, and everything, tenant, everyone, so, down check.
If he said they're not same cameras.
Okay, so
We gotta
it's...
check.
And also, what are you doing for trash and recycling collection?
Right now, I've just been using my neighbor's trash cans, because from my understanding, we had to go through this process in order to receive trash cans. So I've just been using my neighbor's trash cans.
So your future plan is to use Public Works?
Yeah, my future plan is to use Public Works, right?
How much trash do you generate there generally?
About two, 3 bags a week.
So right now, how many patrons do you have in your store?
At this current time, there's no one at my store right now except for our employee.
Do you have any litter trash cans going out the door for patrons to wrappers, cups, stuff like that away?
Yes.
Any questions from the board?
It's my feeling on this in terms of the change of use. I think that we should defer hearing that till we have the parking issue addressed somewhat. Only because you would be compliant if you were doing strictly retail and just selling games and they bought and they left. But we're going to be doing the other stuff, and we have no way of overseeing that at this point. And the issue is that when you bring in that use, it creates the parking situation.
I don't think we can do that. We didn't advertise for the parking variance,
No, he didn't, so we
so I
would
don't
have
think we have
to...
jurisdiction to even hear it.
Yeah.
As far as the gaming one.
Okay, are we able to ask for,
But remember, is it feasible that he complete, because he has to comply one way or another, he's out, so if he stops all gaming until we're in front of you, the pressure can still operate the retail portion.
So what happens if you operate the retail and you never, and you don't get a parking variance? Are you still going to stay there and not have any of the games and the tournaments and all that?
Well, the short answer is no, because if the gaming doesn't come forward, I mean, I'm speaking on time, but it's not economically feasible. Part of the economics of running business is having the gaming, and quite frankly, you all are going to be very gracious, and gentleman here has been very upfront. I think it's very clear if he does not comply with what you all are suggesting, he's out either way. So heads he's out, tails he's out. The only way to get this to happen is if he complies. Complying first with suspending all gaming, and then secondly, making sure we come back before you with the second variance for the parking. He was whispering to me, he has a couple of neighbors that's the first thing we're going to try, because realistically we understand off-street parking is just not, that's not going to fly. The only way to work this out is there has to be some dedicated off-street parking, whether it's right next to them. We'll entertain, and we'll look at other options of maybe another business a block down or something to where people can park and walk, but we understand off-street parking is not going to happen. Even if one or two neighbors agree, it's still going to be a problem with, oh, well, so-and-so parked there, I'm just going to park right behind them. That's going to land us in hot water again. So again, we're asking for some graciousness at this point so that we can work the other things out to your satisfaction, and we're not talking about 2-3 months, we're talking about immediately, so that you all can be done with it and be satisfied with that.
They're gonna have to work something out. He's gonna have to come in next month for a variance and with a site, like a survey plan that shows the circulation of the site and that kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that would go, that's what we're gonna have to do. Parking variance, because he needs 20 spaces. If you can get like an exact, if you have an exact square footage of all those different areas, you can get it to me too.
Okay.
Just so I can get the exact parking calculation, so we get the variance right.
Okay.
If you, I have a business card here I can give you.
Jeff, can we ask for a survey of the property?
I did in my letter, actually, that's what I was just getting, I'm asking a survey that shows the circulation, since there's gonna be a lot of lines there for the pike. I just wanna see how people are gonna enter and exit, as far as, it would be helpful to have a survey that shows all the parking,
And the
property
circulation.
survey, or your title survey, basically like your title survey. You said you purchased, I saw there's a Michelle Maffa that owns...
No, I rent, we rent.
You rent, oh, you do rent, okay. So I thought you said purchased it.
That was.
So I went back and I saw the affidavit of ownership, I'm like,
No,
something
that
wasn't
was-
adding up, it was from June. It's okay, it doesn't really affect the nature of the application, we just want to make sure we get the record right.
So if we move forward, it's for the retail only?
This will be retail,
Correct.
we can't consider the other use because we don't want a parking variance in front of us. So legally, we couldn't, because you haven't advertised for the variance, you have to advertise in the newspaper.
Sure.
For a variance, a certain amount of days out, and Nancy can help you out with all that.
Okay.
We couldn't even consider the other use because you haven't applied for the proper variance for the park. You would need a variance where you need 20 spaces and you only have 9. So when you come back, you want to have all those easements worked out before you come back here.
I'm in favor of it, we can come up with a parking, I just don't want the neighbors.
No, I think we're all on the same page.
So should you do,
Change your use retail,
retail strictly,
strictly retail, no gaming permits, just retail. And then when they come back and get the parking variance and I guess we can consider it an amendment to the change of use
do you think it's something we could do to, in terms of monitoring?
You're going to have to count on the applicant to follow the rules, so. And that's what you got away, whether you want to let it carry on in retail while he's working out the parking issue for the gaming lounge, or whether you want to make a move. So, that's what we're doing. And it's the board offering up that olive branch to allow him to do that. He would only be able to run the retail aspect until he comes back with a plan that park representative vehicles that also have space for him. They can come up with accommodations for another 11 spaces, whether it's next door or a couple of doors down one of his neighbors, that he can work that out with. But he has enough parking by code to run the retail operation. He has more than enough.
Okay, so no, so it's,
I don't know unless he wouldn't have to come back and work, he wants to run the game for him.
but
The retail, he meets all the requirements for the retail.
yeah, but he's saying that the retail is not really viable for him long term unless he has the gaming.
And that's going to be his motivation to come back to the board and address the parking issue. Yeah, oh, that's what I'm saying, but we can do a change of use for strictly retail at this point. And it'll be his motivation to do that. I believe that's what he represented.
Okay, we have a question for you?
Yeah. Do you understand, what we're proposing is that since there's no way that this board could grant the approval for the lounge aspect. I think, I did explain it that for tonight, I offered if the board's in favor of it, you carry on with just retail, only selling retail products. You get your parking situation squared away in the meantime. You can't run any tournaments or do anything with the lounge until you come back to the board. Hopefully next month, if you can get your approvals or your advertisement done and your application in. and then work out the parking situation so you can come up with those other 11 parking spaces and come and present that to the board before you were allowed to run the lounge and before you can run tournaments.
Yeah, that's
You're amenable to that?
Yeah, I can agree.
That way you can still run your shop, you just can't have the tournaments or the lounge activities until you come back to that approval.
Right,
You legally can't approve that tonight because of the parking variance.
right. Understood.
Okay.
Yes.
So I just want to make sure we're on the same page. So, is that what we want to...
Well, we'll see what the board wants to do here.
Do we want to vote to hear the application tonight, or just, or we want to put up for motion?
Well,
We'll give you the
The
summary.
motion would be to approve the change of use to the retail.
And then with regard to the waiver of the site plan, we don't want a site plan, though, we want a survey.
We want a survey.
It comes with the parking.
For the parking aspect, that shows circulation and, you know, where your parking spaces, those 9 are delineated and all that. You need a survey that shows all that. And then you're gonna have to work out whatever arrangements you have. You're gonna have some written agreement with the neighbor that's gonna provide you with the extra parking spaces that you don't have on site.
Okay.
That'll be part of it. It won't even be a parking variance at that point if they can provide the spaces somewhere else, right? Even if it's not on their site.
No, I think we need to treat it as a
To treat it as a variance, that's how we're gonna read it. Okay.
So anyways,
All right, motion open to the public? All right, this is where we're going to open to the public. If does anybody have anything to say about this application at this time, please come up to the microphone, state your name and address, and your concern, if there's any. All right, we'll close to the public.
Okay, so we have the applicant here tonight. This is for the property 110 North White Horse Pike. The applicant's application was for a change of use for retail and for a gaming lounge, and also a waiver of a site plan. So the board has actually two options here. We can deny the application, or we can say we would grant the change of use, but it would be limited to the retail aspects only of your business. There will be no gaming operation, no gaming lounge, no tournaments there, but it will be strictly retail until such time as the applicant addresses via a parking variance the need for the additional parking, which you do not have. Okay, so the board has to decide whether they want to do a limited change of use, to limit it just to the retail, or to say no, because of we won't be able to monitor the gaming operation, we'll deny this change of use and wait for an application that comes in with the full parking aspect addressed. So the board has one of two ways to proceed. If it's strictly retail, there is enough on-site parking for retail operation. There is not enough parking to do the tournaments and the gaming lounge.
Motion for just a limited retail.
Pardon me?
Okay, can I have a motion? All right, can I have a second? Okay, Nancy, Heather Cavalry.
Mayor Roach?
Yes.
Councilwoman Hess? Yes. Mr. Wells?
Yes.
Ms. Jackson? Yes. Mr. Dawson?
Yes.
Mr. Foley?
Yes.
Mr. Lankowski?
Yes.
Okay, so what we do need to say is that you need to get a CO. You are operated, so you need to come in and get a CO before you operate.
Talk about construction officials there.
Certificate of occupancy, yes.
From the construction official, you can see how for that. This is the application for the parking variance. This is the operate just to retail. Okay. So this has to be page. So this is a but I bring a joke.
Do we still need this, if I come to an agreement with the auto mechanic is, to get more parking spots, do I still need this?
His question is if he comes up with the auto mechanic to get parking, does he still need to come for a parking variance?
If it's not on the site, Kate and I talked about that, if it's not physically on the site, then it's still a variance.
Even if
If it's off-site, then we were going to treat it as a variance, but then with a cross-access easement to...
This is for the
I think that's the same agreement.
This is $125.
As soon as that agreement falls through, or...
I can set up the inspection. This is what I did after the fire department. I do not put up the staff. Their address and phone numbers here. I just give it out to them. This is considered town. My name, phone number, everything's right here.
I told
And I only do this at least 10 This gives tells you everything you need to do. Oh, these guys?
Can we call you about public solutions? Yeah.
Everything.
Oh, it's all in there.
Everything's in here, so we can go. This is with advertising one of these two people for one day, at least 10 days before the hearing, not including the hearing.
You jump,
Advertising, yeah, which we and we're not cheap.
Is it next year on 27th?
Heather, what's the next hearing, the 23rd? It's written down on the thing. I think it's the 23rd. It's the fourth Thursday. 23rd?
Well, we didn't do the
It's on our website. This is our website. This is just a checklist.
We did that. And then
That was your little bit about the board, which you already know because you're here.
And we did all
You're going to have to do this again. And then it's going to be a variance. It's a little bit redundant to what you already filled out, but I'm going to need this. The variance application.
Because it's in the meeting, it's in the minutes.
Those 3 pages are basically the same, but
I think just like...
we approved it.
this is your business application. This is the notice.
No, we approved it last time.
We did the last one.
Once I get that from you,
That short meeting.
give it to the assessor.
We can adjourn.
Everybody.
I think we can adjourn. Well, we gotta open back up to the public, but...
The meeting is September 26th. This is your form for public advertising. That's basically the exact thing. You're listed as a public variance. And the parking variance, he has how many spots?
9.
He has 9 and 9 parking, and he needs 20, at least 20.
Based on what he said, it would be 20. Because I think it was 10 for the,
Okay, so he needs at least 20, okay.
we know it was 13 for the game, one, I think it was 3 for every customer for the allowance. So like 40 divided by 3 is 13, 6 for the top for the retail, and then I'm sure himself and five for employees. Could be wrong,
This is, was the notification is sent out through my mail. And the tax stuff gets done by the tax office. And then, yeah, it sounds like I'm just really nice. This one's easier than what you just did.
Thank Those are good. Are we included? We'll see you at the next meeting.
Okay. Yes, I'd like to do the open public portion meeting. Anyone from the public wish to speak? All right, close to the public.
Somebody want to speak in public participation?
Didn't you want to speak to the board?
No.
Okay.
Okay. Motion for adjournment?
Nice to meet you. Take care. See you guys in the next one.
Second.
No,
Where are you coming home?
can you just ask? That's right, go ahead.